Part 1: The Echoes of Celestes. The stars shimmered like sequins strewn carelessly across the fabric of the universe, each one a distant, indifferent witness to my predicament. I leaned back in the pilot's seat of the Starbound Hawk, a rust-bucket freighter that had seen more action than a bar brawl on a Saturday night. I'd named her after a favorite childhood toy, though in retrospect, the name might have been too grand for a ship that rattled like a tin can in a cosmic windstorm. "Just my luck," I murmured, eyeing the pale, swirling anomaly that loomed ahead like a ghostly whirlpool in space. It was an unknown feature in a sector that was supposed to be charted and calm, at least according to my outdated star maps. I had a creeping suspicion it wasn't just a navigational error. "Captain Reyner, you look like a squid in a blender," piped up Grit, my engineer. He stood in the doorway, arms folded, a smudge of grease smeared across his forehead like war paint. "You really think this detour's worth it?" Grit's sarcasm was a comfort. "Let's call it an unscheduled inquiry into the mysteries of the cosmos," I replied, trying to sound cavalier. Besides, strange phenomena usually mean either a fortune or a funeral, and I could use a bit of both to spice things up. "Your optimism is nauseating." He grinned, and I caught the glint of amusement in his eyes as he clambered back into the engine compartment, muttering about cosmic anomalies and certain doom. As we drew closer, the anomaly exerted a gravitational pull that made the hair on the back of my neck stand on end. It wasn't just a hole in space. It was a cosmic siren, singing in waves that resonated in the bones of the ship. Without warning, the control panel lit up like a carnival, alarms blaring in a discordant symphony. I wrestled the controls, my forehead beating with sweat as the ship bucked and groaned in protest. "Hang on, Grit." The ship shuddered violently as we breached the threshold of the anomaly. Stars blinked out, and we were plunged into a kaleidoscope of swirling colors and sounds that defied description. In that moment, I realized we were somewhere profoundly different, a pocket of the universe that had folded in on itself, creating a space that felt both infinite and claustrophobic. Then, as abruptly as it had started, the storm subsided. The Hawk floated in an unnerving stillness. Before us loomed what appeared to be a colossal structure, a titanic ring of alien architecture suspended in the void. It gleamed with an iridescent glow, its surface etched with symbols that seemed to shift and writhe as if alive. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. Well, that's not something you see every day. Grit joined me in the cockpit, his eyes wide with a mix of terror and wonder. "Remind me to update my vacation spots. This place is gorgeous." I chuckled, though there was an edge to it. Let's hope the locals are more welcoming than the Daker suggests. Scanning the structure, we found what looked like docking ports. I eased the Hawk in, the docking clamps engaging with a satisfying clunk. The silence was eerie, a void so profound it was almost tangible. We donned our exosuits and stepped into the airlock. The doors hissed open to reveal an expansive corridor, its walls lined with bioluminescent panels that pulsed gently, casting an ethereal glow. The air was breathable, though tinged with a scent that reminded me of damp earth after a rainstorm on some alien world. "Feels like a welcome mat," Grit observed, scanning the immediate area with a makeshift detector that beeped intermittently in his hand. No signs of life, but then again, they'd probably see us coming kilometers away. We ventured further, each step echoing in the vastness. The architecture was both familiar and alien, a harmonious blend of organic curves and rigid geometry. It reminded me of a long-abandoned cathedral, steeped in ancient purpose. Then, without warning, a low hum reverberated through the structure. Panels flickered to life, displaying cascading streams of data in a language I couldn't comprehend. "Looks like we've got their attention," I muttered, feeling a mix of excitement and dread. Suddenly, the corridor was filled with a low, melodic tone. It resonated through my body, vibrating in my bones. As the sound reached a crescendo, a holographic projection materialized before us, a non-humanoid alien, its form shifting like liquid light. It resembled a sea creature, with tendrils that flowed gracefully, its eyes, if they could be called that, fixed on us with an unreadable expression. Hello," I ventured, unsure if it could understand me. To my surprise, the creature responded, though not in words. Images, emotions, and concepts flooded my mind, painting a picture of their history and purpose. They were the Celestes, guardians of this cosmic anomaly, tasked with maintaining the balance of universes connected through these folds. In the space. Grit seemed awestruck, but managed a shaky grin. At least they don't look like they're going to eat us. But there was more. I saw visions of another ship, a sleek frigate that had breached their realm with ill intent, seeking the power of the anomaly for destructive purposes. The message was clear. The anomaly was destabilizing, and if not corrected, it would tear a hole through multiple realities. So much for a peaceful visit, I sighed, understanding the gravity of our situation. Our task wasn't just to escape, but to prevent a multiversal catastrophe. Grit looked at me, his expression serious for once. What's the plan, Captain? I considered our options, realizing I had to make a choice. We could turn back now, leave the anomaly to its fate, or risk everything to set things right. With a resigned nod, I turned to Grit. Get back to the Hawk. Prepare to trace the last known coordinates of that frigate. If we're going down with a fight. As we made our way back to the ship, I couldn't shake the eerie sense that the Celestes were watching, their fate, and perhaps the fate of countless worlds, resting on our shoulders. The universe had thrust us into the role of unwitting heroes, and whether I liked it or not, there was no turning back now. Part 2: Shadows in the Abyss. The Starbound Hawk hummed to life, its engines purring with a shaky readiness that matched my racing heart. Grit tugged on a loose panel, giving it a decisive thump as if to ward off any potential gremlins in the system. He shot me a sardonic smile, the grease smudge on his forehead now resembling a warrior's mark. You think that frigate even knows we're coming? Let's hope they don't, I replied, adjusting the coordinates based on the ethereal map that had been seared into my mind by the Celestes. It was like navigating through a dreamscape, each fold and curve of this warped dimension teasing at the edges of logic. As we departed from the docking port, the colossal structure faded into the mists of the anomaly, leaving us enveloped by a surreal void. I couldn't help but feel the silent farewell of the Celestes, their forms vanishing like echoes in a canyon. We were alone again, the void both a sanctuary and a prison. How reliable you think this intel is? Grit asked, peering over my shoulder at the enigmatic patterns dancing across the navigation display. About as reliable as a second-hand electrospanner, but it's all we've got, I answered. The path ahead was obscured by the shifting veils of cosmic dust, lit intermittently by the distant flashes of energy discharges. It was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure, a place where the rules of physics seemed little more than polite suggestions. With the ship on autopilot for the moment, I took a moment to glance at a small, tattered photograph pinned above the console, a reminder of home, of simpler days spent on Earth, under a sky that was perpetually blue and a reality that rarely asked more than I could give. Grit followed my gaze, then looked away quickly, pretending to fiddle with a non-existent problem on his console. You think we'll ever see it again? Home? Yeah, I do, I lied, trying to sound more confident than I felt. Got too much left to do there. Besides, who else would pay my tab at the Rusty Wrench? He chuckled, the tension easing just a fraction, and I let the sound anchor me in this surreal environment. But as the Hawk veered towards the deeper folds of the anomaly, a sense of foreboding wrapped around me like a shroud. The frigate appeared on our sensors just as the anomaly began to unravel into strands of reality. It was a sleek vessel, all obsidian angles and malevolent grace, bristling with weaponry that glinted menacingly in the dim light. It hovered like a predatory bird poised to strike. The Nightfall, I whispered, recognizing the infamous ship. Its reputation preceded it, a mercenary vessel known for skirting the edges of legality and morality. This was no simple rescue mission. Grit's demeanor shifted, his usual bravado replaced by a focused intensity. What's their play, you think? Judging by their trajectory, they're heading for the anomaly's core, looking to harness whatever power they can find, I replied, or destroy it if they can't have it. We need to stop them. A silence settled over us, a shared understanding of the stakes. If the Nightfall succeeded, it would not just mean the end for us, but potentially for countless worlds connected through this cosmic tapestry. Time to play hero then, Grit said, flashing me a grin that was equal parts reckless and reassuring. We closed the distance stealthily, the Hawk's camouflage sensors doing their best to keep us undetected, though I felt as conspicuous as a fly on a wedding cake. With each kilometer shaved off the gap between us and the frigate, the tension wound tighter, like a spring ready to snap. When we were close enough, I brought the Hawk to a halt, hovering just outside the range of their scanners. All right, Grit, time to get creative. We need a diversion. He nodded, already moving to the weaponry console. I've got a trick or two up my sleeve. Moments later, a series of decoy drones launched from our hold, darting towards the nightfall with erratic, attention-seeking brilliance. They lit up the surrounding space like fireflies, buzzing with electronic chatter meant to mimic a fleet. It worked. The nightfall shifted its course, gun turrets swiveling to track the phantom threat. Nice touch, I said, steering the Hawk into the wake of their maneuver. Now let's get inside before they realize they've been duped. We sidled up to the frigate's underbelly, matching its velocity. Grit deployed our makeshift boarding tether, a grappling device cobbled together from spare ship parts and Grit's particular brand of ingenuity. With a metallic thunk, the tether latched on, pulling us flush against their hull. I glanced at Grit, ready for this. About as ready as anyone can be to invade a hostile ship, he quipped, but his eyes told a different story, one of resolve. We suited up, checking our gear. I clipped a plasma cutter to my belt, the weight of it familiar and comforting. Grit had his trusty toolkit. And we both carried compact blasters, just in case charm and cleverness failed us. The airlock opened to a hiss of pressured air, and we crossed the void to the nightfall, the umbilical line our lifeline in the emptiness. Inside, the ship was a stark contrast to the luminous serenity of the Celestes' environment. It was all harsh angles, dim lighting, and the constant hum of machinery. We moved swiftly through the corridors, the sense of urgency propelling us forward. Each turn threatened a confrontation, the silence heavy with anticipation. The Nightfall's core systems were our target. If we could disable them, we could force them to retreat. As we approached the central control room, a low rumble reverberated through the ship. The anomaly was destabilizing, its energies roiling, a storm threatening to break. We had to act fast. Grit hacked into the security systems with a few deft keystrokes, bypassing the main door. The control room lay beyond, its walls lined with displays showing the destabilizing anomaly. At the helm was a lone figure, their back turned, clad in the dark uniform of the Nightfall. They turned as we entered, and my heart skipped a beat. Reyner, the captain of the Nightfall, said, a wry smile playing on her lips. I should have known you'd show up. Lyra, I breathed, the past crashing over me like a tidal wave. Betrayal, regret, and unresolved tension filled the room, crackling between us like static. Grit glanced between us, sensing the history that needed no words. Friend of yours. Used to be, I replied tersely, my mind racing. Lyra held up her hands, palms outward. I didn't come here to destroy. I came to save it and us. But it's too late now. The anomaly's collapsing, and I need your help to stabilize it. I hesitated, doubt clouding my thoughts. Was this another of her manipulations, or was she genuinely seeking redemption? The anomaly roared beyond us, a beast in agony. The choice was clear, if not easy. I turned to Grit, who nodded, placing his trust in me as he always had. Let's fix this, I said, stepping forward to join forces with my past. As the three of us worked side by side, the fate of the anomaly and countless lives hung in the balance. In that moment, time stretched and contracted, the universe holding its breath for what we would do next. Part 3: The Heart of the Maelstrom. The control room of the Nightfall was a tempest of activity, with warning lights flashing like red-hot coals and alarms blaring their shrill, urgent cries. The air shimmered with tension as Lyra, Grit, and I moved with a singular purpose, a desperate choreography unfolding at the nexus of impending doom. I couldn't ignore the ghosts of our shared past, lurking just beneath the surface, but there was no time to dwell. The anomaly twisted beyond the ship's viewports, a churning cauldron of cosmic energies threatening to unravel everything it touched. Stabilizing the anomaly requires harnessing the resonant frequencies from the Celestes' architecture, Lyra explained, her fingers dancing across the console with practiced precision. It's the only way to balance the energies before the whole thing collapses. Her voice was steady, authoritative, the same voice that had once led me into countless victories and a few too many defeats. I pushed memories aside, focusing on the task at hand. Grit was in his element, his quick wit shining through the haze of urgency. Should have brought my tuning fork. Always knew it'd come in handy for interdimensional crises. Just keep those systems from overheating, I shot back, a grin tugging at my lips despite myself. His humor was the anchor amidst the chaos. As we worked, the ship groaned beneath the strain, the anomaly bending reality in ways that made the very air feel electric. The panels hummed with energy, and the displays flickered erratically, caught in the interference field of the collapsing fold. Lyra, we need to boost power to the harmonics. The Celestes shared their protocols with me. I can walk you through it, I said, my voice firm as I leaned over to assist her, the proximity amplifying the unspoken history between us. She nodded, and for a moment our eyes met, a bridge spanning the gulf of time and choices. I always knew you'd be the one to get it right, she murmured, a ghost of a smile flitting across her lips. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, I muttered, focusing on the task. My hands moved with an instinct born of pressure, aligning the coordinates of the resonant frequencies that the Celestes had imprinted in my mind. The ship shuddered violently, throwing us off balance. I caught myself on the console, adrenaline spiking as the anomaly's turmoil threatened to tear us apart. The Nightfall's systems screamed under the load, teetering on the brink of overload. Grit swore under his breath, his fingers a blur as he rerouted power from secondary systems to bolster the core. Anytime now, Cap, the whole ship's about to melt down. With a final adjustment, the harmonics locked into place. A low, resonant hum filled the room, resonating through the metal and into my bones. The ship steadied, and for a heartbeat, suspended between despair and hope, the anomaly's violent roiling paused, as if caught in the eye of the storm. The displays lit up with a cascade of data, confirming what we dared to believe. The stabilization had worked. The reality fold was reforging itself, energies coalescing into a coherent whole rather than unraveling into chaos. We exhaled collectively, relief mingling with exhaustion. But even as I allowed myself a moment of triumph, a new alert chimed, pulling me back to the present. Incoming vessels, Grit said, checking the sensors. Looks like we've got company, and they're not here for a celebratory drink. Through the viewport, sleek alien crafts emerged from the folds of the anomaly. Their forms were unlike anything I'd seen, all fluid lines and shifting hues, as if they were woven from the very fabric of the cosmos. Celestes, Lyra asked, her fingers poised over the controls. No, I replied, a knot forming in my stomach. Something else. As the crafts surrounded us, I could feel them probing, their intentions inscrutable. But it wasn't a hostile act, it was a search, a demand for answers. And then a voice, or something akin to it, filled the room, resonant and alien yet strangely familiar. It wasn't verbal but conceptual, threads of understanding weaving themselves into our minds. We are the Veldari, it announced, the name itself a tapestry of colors and sensation. Keepers of the currents between worlds, you have breached the boundary of our domain. I exchanged a glance with Lyra and Grit, the weight of this new encounter settling over us like a second skin. We didn't come here by choice, I said aloud, hoping the Veldari would understand. The anomaly pulled us in. We've stabilized it to prevent destruction. There was a pause pregnant with meaning. The Veldari's presence shifted, a sense of curiosity mingling with caution. You hold the key to the fold, they intoned, the concept heavy with promise and peril. We seek to restore balance, but require your understanding of the bonded harmonics. It became clear that the anomaly, even stabilized, held secrets and capabilities beyond our comprehension. The task ahead wasn't just to escape, but to guide this junction of realities towards equilibrium, a responsibility that rested uneasily on my shoulders. Lyra looked at me, her expression a blend of determination and vulnerability. What now? I considered the question, the weight of our actions pressing down. The Celestes had opened the path, but it was the Veldari who held the map. Now, I said, meeting the gaze of our alien host's craft, we learn and negotiate. We guide the fold back into balance together. The universe had expanded once more, the stage set for alliances and discoveries that defied the known boundaries. As the Veldari crafts escorted us deeper into their domain, I felt a sense of purpose rekindling, a path that promised more challenges, but also the possibility of profound understanding. In the heart of the maelstrom, we were no longer just voyagers. We were custodians of a fragile reality, the echoes of which would reverberate across the stars long after we were gone. Part 4: Beyond the Rift. The Veldari convoy ushered us deeper into the anomaly, their crafts gliding as if on invisible rails woven from stardust. Each ship moved in perfect harmony, a silent symphony of light and motion that left me both awestruck and wary. Their technology was an extension of their very being, a seamless blend of organic and synthetic that defied the crude mechanics of human invention. Inside the Nightfall's control room, the three of us stood uncertainly, a silent current of tension threading through our thoughts. Grit watched the alien ships with an expression that hovered between admiration and suspicion. Watching them fly makes our ship look like it was built with duct tape and a prayer. Yeah, but what they offer in style, they lack in reckless charm, I replied drily, glancing at the diagnostics that flickered across our screens. The anomaly's energies had stabilized, but the path ahead was anything but clear. Lyra worked at the console, interfacing with the Veldari's data systems. Her focus was intense, her movements sure and precise. It was a side of her that I'd admired even when we stood on opposite sides of the same conflict. Got something, she said, bringing up a holographic display. It showed a complex structure at the heart of the anomaly, its design both intricate and incomprehensible. The Nexus, she continued, translating the alien data. It's the central hub of the fold, the source of its power and purpose. The Veldari have maintained it for eons, but something's gone wrong, an imbalance they can't correct alone. The realization settled in, a mix of dread and opportunity. The anomaly wasn't simply a cosmic fluke, it was a construct, ancient and purposeful, and somehow we'd become entwined with its fate. Let's hope our luck holds out, Grit muttered, more to himself than to us, as he checked the ship's systems one last time. If not, they might need a bigger mop for this mess. The Veldari's lead vessel transmitted a new set of coordinates, pulling us from our reverie. The path twisted through layers of dimensional space, a cosmic labyrinth where every turn held the potential for discovery or destruction. The air inside the Nightfall felt charged, as if the anomaly itself was breathing around us. I glanced at Lyra, sensing her resolve mirrored in my own, ready to dive into the unknown. She nodded, her eyes meeting mine with a mix of determination and something else, a flicker of the past, unspoken and unresolved. Always. We moved in tandem through the ship, ensuring all systems were stable and our course aligned with the Veldari's instructions. The Nightfall's engines hummed with an unnatural calm, the calm before a storm whose eye we'd willingly entered. As we approached the Nexus, the space around us shifted from a chaotic swirl to a serene expanse, the colors of the anomaly softening into hues of violet and gold. The structure itself loomed ahead, a vast lattice of energy and matter that pulsed with a rhythm both alien and familiar. The Veldari ships moved into position, creating a perimeter around the Nexus. Their presence was both guardian and guide, a reminder that this journey was not ours alone. Here we go, I said, slowing the Nightfall as we neared the Nexus. The ship's sensors flared with activity, data streams cascading across our displays in a dazzling array of patterns and possibilities. Lyra worked quickly, interfacing with the Nexus through the harmonics we'd established with the Celestes' guidance. Her fingers danced over the controls, each movement a careful negotiation with forces beyond our understanding. But as she did, a new alert blared through the ship, an intrusion from within, unexpected and unwelcome. My heart dropped, instincts screaming that we were not alone. "Grit, lock down the systems," I barked, a surge of adrenaline propelling me into action. "We've got company." The nightfall shuddered, not from external forces but from sabotage. Somewhere within the ship, a presence moved with malevolent intent, seeking to undo our work and claim the anomaly's power for themselves. Grit's eyes widened as he scanned the diagnostics, his voice tight with urgency. "Internal breach, someone's cutting through the bulkheads towards engineering." Lyra's gaze hardened, her past aligning with this new threat. "Saboteur, they must have hidden when we boarded." The stakes had shifted once more, the balance of power teetering on a knife's edge. As the Veldari maintained their vigil around the Nexus, we were left to confront the shadows that had wormed their way into our midst. "Find them," I ordered, my voice steady despite the chaos unspooling around us. "We can't let them destabilize the Nexus." We moved swiftly through the corridors, the sound of our boots echoing ominously against the metal walls. The nightfall had become a labyrinth, each turn fraught with danger, each shadow a potential threat. The intruder was cunning. G leading us on a chase through the ship's bowels. Their intent was clear: sabotage, destabilization, a means to harness or destroy what lay beyond the fold. Grit led the way, his engineering knowledge guiding us through the maze of conduits and passageways. "Got a trail," he muttered, gesturing to the faint scorch marks on the bulkheads, signs of forced entry and ad hoc repairs. We reached the engine room, its heart pulsing with energy. And there, silhouetted against the glow, was the saboteur, a figure clad in the dark uniform of the nightfall, their features obscured by a helmet. I raised my blaster, the tension palpable. "Step away from the controls," I ordered, my voice a mix of command and caution. The figure turned slowly, their hands raised in mock surrender. "You're too late, Reyner," they said, their voice distorted through the helmet's filter. "The power of the anomaly will be mine to command." Recognition flared, a former ally turned rogue, driven by ambition and desperation. Their name caught in my throat, a bitter reminder of trust misplaced. But as they reached for the controls, their intent clear, I knew the choice was mine alone. To save the anomaly, to honor the trust of the Celestes and the Veldari, I had to act. The blaster felt heavy in my grip, its weight a testament to the burdens of leadership and the cost of every decision. The fight for balance was not just external, but internal, a battle waged in the heart and mind. With a steady hand and an unwavering resolve, I fired, the sound echoing through the chamber like thunder in a storm. The figure crumpled, their ambitions extinguished in an instant, leaving only the hum of the engines and the scent of charged air. Lyra stepped forward, her expression a mix of relief and sorrow. "You did what you had to, Reyner." I nodded, the truth of her words settling over me like a cloak. We returned to the control room, where the alien symphony of the Nexus awaited us. The Veldari crafts signaled their approval, their presence a testament to the choices we'd made and the path we'd forged together. The anomaly's energies flowed once more, harmonious and whole. As the nightfall settled into its position, ready to guide the Nexus back into stability, I looked to my crew, my friends, and the universe that had expanded to encompass us all. The journey was far from over, the mysteries of the anomaly still unfolding. But for now, we stood together, poised on the brink of a new dawn, the echoes of our choices resonating through the cosmos. Part 5: Echoes of the Celestes. The nightfall drifted in the nexus of the anomaly, embraced by the gentle luminescence of cosmic energies woven together like a celestial tapestry. The Veldari crafts floated nearby, their presence a reassuring reminder that we were not alone in this vast, enigmatic expanse. The calm belied the turmoil that had preceded it, leaving us suspended in a moment of fragile equilibrium. Grit tinkered with the console, the hum of the ship systems filling the silence between us. "I gotta say, this place is starting to grow on me," he said, casting a glance at the swirling patterns outside. "Feels like we're parked inside a giant lava lamp." "Let's hope it stays peaceful," I replied, tension easing from my muscles as I surveyed the displays. The stabilized energies of the anomaly suggested that we had succeeded, at least for now. Lyra joined me at the viewport, her gaze fixed on the radiant expanse. "What's next for us, Rayner?" she asked, her voice tinged with a mix of curiosity and uncertainty. The question echoed in my mind. We had navigated through chaos and emerged on the other side, but the path forward remained a mystery. The Veldari had welcomed us into their domain, yet the anomaly's secrets loomed large, beckoning with promises both wondrous and dangerous. "We keep exploring," I said, feeling a flicker of resolve. "There's more to this place than we understand, and if the Celestes trusted us with their knowledge, maybe there's more they wanted us to find." Grit chimed in, dry humor evident even amidst the unknown. "In that case, I hope the next discovery involves a nice beach and a cold drink." Before I could respond, a message from the Veldari resonated through the ship, their thoughts conveyed in vibrant colors and sensations. "The anomaly is in balance, but its core holds echoes of the Celestes' intent. They left behind a path, concealed within the fold, a gateway to their legacy." A gateway, the words lingered in the air, laden with implications. The Celestes, enigmatic guardians of cosmic balance, had left a trail for us, a breadcrumb path through the folds of reality, leading to a mystery that beckoned like a siren's call. Yet even as excitement sparked, a cautionary voice whispered in my mind. Paths left by ancient civilizations were rarely straightforward, often fraught with challenges that tested both the heart and the mind. "We can't ignore that," Lyra said, a gleam of anticipation in her eyes. "If the Celestes wanted us to find it, there must be a reason." Grit nodded, his usual levity tempered by a newfound seriousness. "And if we don't follow it, we're just flying blind." The choice was clear, the stakes high. To unravel the Celestes, legacy meant embracing uncertainty, venturing into the unknown with only our wits and each other to rely on. "We'll follow it," I decided, determination threading through my voice. "But we'll stay vigilant. If history has taught us anything, it's that the past has a way of biting you when you least expect it." With the Veldari's guidance, we adjusted our course, the nightfall turning towards the concealed path that shimmered like a hidden thread in the fabric of the anomaly. As we embarked on this new trajectory, the familiar hum of the engines was a comforting backdrop to the unspoken hopes and fears that lingered between us. The gateway loomed ahead, a swirl of energies that shifted and danced, inviting us to step through the veil. As we crossed the threshold, the sensation was akin to falling through a dream, the boundaries of reality stretching and warping around us. On the other side, the anomaly's glow gave way to a stunning panorama, a vast, open expanse filled with floating islands of rock and crystal, luminescent flora blooming in radiant hues. It was a world unto itself, a realm sculpted by the Celestes, hands and imagination. Grit whistled softly, his eyes wide with wonder. "Now that's what I call landscaping. They sure knew how to decorate." Lyra's voice was tinged with awe as she took in the vibrant vista. "This must be what they left behind. A sanctuary, maybe, or a vault of knowledge." We guided the nightfall towards one of the nearest islands, its surface dotted with structures that gleamed like polished stone under an unseen sun. Touching down gently, we disembarked, the ground beneath our boots resonating with a faint, melodic vibration, as if the very earth sang a Celestes tune. As we explored, a sense of reverence settled over us, the air thick with the weight of history. The structures were adorned with carvings and symbols that seemed to pulse with a life of their own, each one a piece of the puzzle, a fragment of the Celestes' story. In the center of the island stood a towering monolith, its surface smooth and reflective. As we approached, the symbols upon it shifted, aligning into patterns that told a tale of creation and balance, of worlds shaped and protected by the Celestes across ions. And there, at the heart of the monolith, lay the gateway's true purpose, a repository of knowledge, a beacon of wisdom from a civilization that had seen the very edges of the universe. But even as we marveled at the discovery, an unease crept in, for with knowledge came responsibility, and with the legacy of the Celestes in our hands, the weight of their trust was a heavy mantle to bear. As the last light of the anomaly's glow faded behind us, we stood on the precipice of a new understanding, the echoes of the Celestes, intent reverberating through the space they had called home. United in purpose, we prepared to delve into the secrets of this wondrous realm, knowing that every answer uncovered would lead to new questions, and that the journey of discovery was one without end, a path we would walk together beneath the endless stars. Part 6: The Whispering Stones. The air on the floating island had a quality of stillness that was almost sacred, every breath an invocation amidst the remnants of Celeste's grandeur. The structures rose around us like sentinels, their silent vigil undisturbed by the passage of time. I could feel the weight of their gaze, an unspoken expectation lingering in the stones and symbols that adorned them. Grit crouched by a cluster of crystalline plants, their glow casting prismatic patterns across his weathered face. "Never thought I'd see something like this outside one of those tourist traps on Venus," he muttered, his awe undisguised. Lyra joined him, her fingers brushing over the delicate leaves. "The Celestes crafted this place as both refuge and repository," she mused, "a world where their wisdom endures, waiting for those who can unlock it." Her words resonated with the silent promise the island seemed to hold. The Celestes had left their legacy here, a breadcrumb trail of knowledge and insight. But as we ventured deeper into the landscape, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were not alone in our exploration. The monolith beckoned, its surface a tapestry of shifting light and shadow. As I approached, the air hummed with anticipation, a sensation like standing at the edge of a great revelation. The symbols on its surface pulsed gently, and as my hand brushed against them, they resonated with a warmth that seeped into my bones. "Feels like it's alive," Grit observed, joining me by the monolith. "Or at least, it's got a heartbeat of its own." "It's more than alive," I replied, my voice hushed with wonder. "It's aware." The monolith responded to my touch, its surface parting to reveal a passageway leading into the heart of the island. A delicate light beckoned us inside, the call of the unknown all but irresistible. As we stepped into the tunnel, the walls around us glowed with soft luminescence, illuminating carvings that told a story in a language older than memory. They depicted the rise of the Celestes, their mastery over the folds of reality, the balance they had maintained across countless worlds. It was a history of triumph and tragedy, of creation and sacrifice, and at its core, a warning of what had been lost and what might be found again. I paused, struck by a sense of déjà vu, as if I had walked these halls before in dreams. The Celestes had charted a path not just through space, but through time itself, their wisdom a guidepost for those who followed. Lyra's voice broke the quiet, her tone thoughtful. "They speak of a convergence, a gathering of energies that can reshape the universe's fabric. It's why they built this place, to safeguard that power. And to make sure it's not misused," I added, the truth of it settling over me like a mantle. We were custodians now, bearers of a legacy that spans stars and centuries. As the tunnel opened into a vast chamber, the scale of the Celestes' ambition became clear. The room was dominated by a central dais, above which hovered an intricate lattice of energy, its form shifting and flowing like a living nebula. It was mesmerizing, a synthesis of light and substance that defied understanding. Grit stood transfixed, his voice barely a whisper. "This is it, isn't it? The heart of their creation." "The conflux," Lyra breathed, her eyes wide with awe. "The point where all realities meet, where the Celestes' influence can touch every world." The conflux was both a beacon and a key, a focal point of power and potential. But as we marveled at its beauty, a shadow fell across the chamber. From the passageway emerged figures, their forms cloaked in darkness, their eyes glinting with a dangerous light. They moved with the confidence of those who had trespassed before, their intentions unmistakable. "Interlopers," the lead figure announced, their voice cold and commanding. "You don't belong here." My heart raced and I reached for the blaster at my side. "We're not here to fight," I said, my words laced with caution. "The Celestes left this place for those who seek to protect its knowledge." The figure laughed, a harsh sound that echoed in the chamber. And what do you know of the Celestes? Their secrets are not for the likes of you. Grit stepped forward, his usual bravado tempered by a calculated edge. Look, whoever you are, we didn't come here to cause trouble, but if you want to try your luck, just know we're not backing down. A tense silence filled the air, the weight of a decision hanging between us. The interlopers were not just scavengers, they were a faction with their own stake in the anomaly's power. Lyra met my gaze, her expression a mix of resolve and uncertainty. We can't let them take the conflux. The decision was clear, etched in the symbols that surrounded us, in the whispers of the Celestes that lingered in the air. We stood as guardians now, defenders of a legacy that transcended our understanding. As the confrontati unloomed, I felt the echoes of the Celestes within me, their wisdom a guiding light amidst the encroaching shadows. The path was fraught with danger, but it was ours to walk, the journey a testament to the bonds we had forged and the truths we had yet to uncover. The balance of power teetered on the brink, and as we faced the interlopers, ready to defend the conflux, I understood that this was only the beginning, the opening act in a story of cosmic proportions, where the fate of worlds rested in our hands. Part 7: Guardians of the Conflux. The chamber seemed to breathe with a life of its own, the air charged with anticipation as we faced off against the interlopers. Their leader stood, eyes burning with ambition and an unsettling intensity, a hunger that sought to claim the power of the conflux for their own. I tightened my grip on the blaster, the weight of it a reminder that even amidst cosmic wonders, conflict was a constant companion. You don't have to do this, I called out, hoping to avoid the inevitable clash. There's enough here for all of us to learn. The leader's expression shifted, amusement dancing across their features. Knowledge is power, and power is meant for those bold enough to seize it. The chamber's ethereal light caught the edge of their weapon as it was drawn, a clear signal of their intent. Around me, Grit and Lyra tensed, ready to defend the legacy we'd unwittingly been entrusted with. Before any of us could act, a new presence asserted itself. The conflux responded to the threat. The lattice of energy above us pulsed, emanating a resonant tone that filled the space, its harmonics stirring the very air. The Celestes' creation was awake, and it was aware. The leader hesitated, their bravado cracking as the chamber's hum intensified, the conflux asserting its dominion. In that moment, I glimpsed a flicker of doubt, a shadow of uncertainty in the eyes of our adversaries. Lyra seized the opening, her voice cutting through the tension like a beacon. This power isn't meant for conquest. The Celestes created it for harmony, for balance across realities. Her words found purchase, the chamber's luminescence reflecting a truth that resonated beyond the physical. The conflux was a bridge between worlds, not a weapon, a point of convergence meant to unify rather than divide. The leader's cohorts shifted uneasily, their confidence waning as the conflux's influence enveloped them. I sensed an opportunity, the potential to avert violence with understanding. You can walk away, I offered, my tone firm yet tempered with empathy. Leave this place and its secrets to those who will honor them. For a heartbeat, the possibility hung in the air, the path of least resistance opening before us. But ambition is a tenacious beast, and the leader's resolve hardened, their momentary doubt vanquished by desire. No, they spat, raising their weapon in defiance of both the conflux and our entreaties. The Celestes were fools to abandon such power, and I won't make the same mistake. The chamber exploded into chaos, the tension giving way to action. Blaster fire lit the air, a staccato of sound that reverberated through the ancient hall. I ducked behind a column, returning fire with precision, each shot a testament to survival, to the choices that had brought us here. Grit moved like a shadow, his engineering skills turned to tactical advantage as he manipulated the environment, creating barriers and misdirection. Lyra fought with a grace that belied her past, her movements a dance of determination and courage. The conflux pulsed above us, its energies weaving through the clash with a purpose all their own. I felt its influence, a whisper in my mind that sang of potential and promise, of a future shaped by the decisions of the present. Amidst the frenzy, the leader advanced, their intent singular, driven. I met their charge head-on, our weapons clashing in a dance of light and shadow. The confrontation was a test of wills, a battle not just of skill but of ideology. As we fought, the conflux intervened, its energies enveloping us in a luminescent embrace. The leader faltered, their focus splintering as the chamber's resonance found purchase in their soul. They staggered, weapon falling from nerveless fingers as realization dawned. The conflux was more than power, it was connection, an understanding that transcended the individual. With a final, defiant cry, the leader retreated, their followers scattering like leaves in a cosmic wind. The chamber settled into an uneasy calm, the confrontation averted but the echoes of its potential consequences lingering in the air. As the dust settled, I turned to Grit and Lyra, their expressions mirrored variations of relief and exhaustion. We had faced the shadows of ambition and emerged intact, yet the path ahead was anything but clear. The conflux glowed softly, a silent acknowledgement of our efforts. The Celestes' creation had tested us, and in that crucible we had found a measure of understanding, a glimpse of the legacy we were tasked to preserve. I stepped forward, placing a hand on the dais, its surface warm beneath my palm. "We've still got a lot to learn," I murmured, my voice carrying the weight of responsibility and hope. Lyra joined me, her gaze meeting mine with a shared sense of purpose. "And we will," she promised, the words a vow between us and the universe. Grit grinned, the edge of tension giving way to his characteristic levity. "Let's make sure the next adventure involves a bit less gunfire and more relaxation," he suggested, though his eyes shone with the thrill of discovery. Together we stood before the conflux, guardians of a mystery that stretched across time and space. The Celestes had entrusted us with their legacy, and as we faced the unknown, we did so with the knowledge that every challenge was an opportunity, every choice a step on the path to understanding. In the heart of the anomaly, amidst the whispering stones and the resonance of the conflux, we found our place, explorers in a vast, wondrous universe, with a journey that promised to unfold in ways we had only begun to imagine. Part 8: The Celestial Key. The tranquility that settled in the wake of the conflict was a fragile thing, like the first breath of dawn after a long, storm-laden night. We stood before the conflux, its luminescence casting a gentle glow upon our faces, a silent testament to the Celestes' enduring vision. Grit leaned against a stone pillar, his gaze drifting over the chamber with an introspective intensity that belied his usual bravado. "So, what do you reckon this place still has up its sleeve?" he asked, the question hanging in the air like a half-formed melody. "More than we can imagine," I replied, my voice tinged with a mixture of awe and reverence. "The Celestes didn't create this just to be admired. There's purpose woven into these stones, waiting to be uncovered." As if in response to my words, the conflux shimmered, a cascade of symbols flowing across its surface like water over a riverbed. They formed an intricate pattern, a complex map that seemed to pulse with a rhythm all its own. Lyra approached, drawn to the display with a curiosity that mirrored my own. "It's a message," she murmured, tracing the lines with her fingertips. "A guide to something else, something beyond this place." I watched as the symbols shifted, aligning into a path that led deeper into the island's heart, towards a destination known only to the creators themselves. The map was more than a physical representation. It was a key, unlocking the next chapter in a story that spanned the stars. The realization settled over us, heavy with implications yet laced with an undeniable thrill. We had been chosen to follow this path, to uncover the secrets the Celestes had hidden away, perhaps as a safeguard or a gift for those who came after. Grit pushed himself off the pillar, an eager spark in his eyes. "If we're going exploring, let's make sure we pack for adventure, and by that I mean snacks, lots of them." I chuckled, the levity a welcome balm against the enormity of our task. Adventure and snacks, the essentials of every great journey. With a shared resolve, we prepared to delve deeper into the island's mysteries, our footsteps echoing softly in the sacred space. The passageway beckoned, illuminated by the conflux's guiding light, each step a leap into the unknown. As we ventured forth, the air around us hummed with an energy that felt both ancient and new. It was as if the island itself was alive, responding to our presence, weaving our story into its own tapestry. The path led us through a series of caverns, their walls covered in the same shifting symbols that adorned the monolith. They whispered a narrative of creation and guardianship, of the Celestes' role as stewards of balance and protectors of the cosmic weave. In the deepest chamber, we found a breathtaking sight, a vast, open grotto filled with crystalline structures that glowed with their own inner light. At the center stood a pedestal, and upon it rested a small, intricately carved object that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. Lyra approached the pedestal with a reverent caution, her hand hovering above the object before gently lifting it from its resting place. The object was deceptively simple, yet its weight in her palm spoke of power and purpose. "The celestial key," she breathed, all lacing her voice. "This is what they left for us, a tool to access their knowledge, their understanding of the universe." I joined her, examining the key with a sense of wonder. It was a conduit, a means to interface with the conflux, to unlock the full breadth of the Celestes' legacy. Yet, even as we marveled at its beauty, a question loomed large. What did the Celestes intend for those who found it? Before we could ponder further, a low rumble reverberated through the cavern, the stones vibrating beneath our feet. The energy in the air intensified, a warning that resonated in the marrow of our bones. Grit's expression sharpened, his instincts honed by years of facing the unpredictable. "Looks like we've got company," he warned, his gaze scanning the shadows that danced along the walls. The interlopers were not done with us, it seemed. Their retreat had been temporary, their ambition undeterred by the conflux's influence. They emerged from the darkness, their intent clear and unwavering. But this time the confrontation was different. The key in Lyra's hand pulsed with a resonant energy, synchronizing with the conflux in a symphony of light and sound. The chamber itself seemed to respond, the crystalline structures vibrating with a harmonic frequency that enveloped us all. The interlopers hesitated, their confidence waning as the island's power revealed itself. In that moment, it became clear that the Celestes' legacy was not just knowledge, but protection for those who honored it. I stepped forward, my voice steady as I addressed the leader. "This place isn't a weapon. It's a sanctuary for those who seek balance. If you choose to respect that, there's a place for you here." The leader's gaze flickered, a war of intentions playing out behind their eyes. The conflux's resonance seemed to reach them, touching the core of their ambition and weighing it against the greater purpose. In the silence that followed, the leader lowered their weapon, the realization of what lay before them settling into their bones. They nodded, a reluctant understanding in the gesture, and motioned for their followers to do the same. The danger passed, the chamber settling into a serene glow that matched the calm in our hearts. The celestial key had unlocked more than knowledge. It had opened the path to unity, a promise of what could be achieved when ambition was tempered by wisdom. As we stood amidst the crystalline splendor, the echoes of the Celestes' intent resonating around us, I knew that our journey was far from over. The universe awaited, its mysteries vast and endless, a tapestry woven from light and shadow, inviting us to weave our own story into its cosmic fabric. Part 9. The Harmonic Nexus. The crystalline chamber shimmered with a serene luminescence, the air humming with the peaceful resonance of the conflux. The interlopers had withdrawn, their understanding of what lay before them reshaped by the celestial key's unifying power. The weight of potential hung in the air, and we stood at the heart of a mystery that spanned the cosmos. Grit leaned on a jagged spire, his gaze contemplative. "You know, for all the danger and chaos, this place has its perks," he said, his tone a blend of sarcasm and genuine wonder. "Not every day you get to play ambassador to the universe." Lyra turned the celestial key in her hands, its light a gentle pulse that seemed to sync with her heartbeat. "The Celestes might have left us more than just knowledge," she mused, examining the intricate carvings that lined the key's surface. "This could be our blueprint for forging connections beyond our understanding." Her insight resonated with me, the idea of harmonizing with the universe's vastness both daunting and exhilarating. The celestial key was more than a tool, it was an invitation, an opportunity to bridge the gaps between worlds. Then let's see what doors it opens, I suggested, my mind already racing with the possibilities. The conflux had more secrets to reveal, and the key seemed attuned to its frequencies, a conduit to understanding the intricacies woven into the very fabric of space. Together we approached the central dais, where the conflux's glow intensified in anticipation of our discovery. Lyra placed the key into an elegantly carved indentation, its light merging with the conflux's luminescent dance. As it settled into place, a symphony of colors and tones enveloped the chamber, pulling us into a shared vision. In this vision, the universe unfurled before us like an intricate tapestry, threads of energy and matter weaving through star systems, connecting galaxies with an unseen hand. The Celestes had mapped these connections, their influence a gentle ripple across the cosmic sea. The vision shifted, focusing on a cluster of systems wreathed in familiar energies. The sensation was like déjà vu, the sense of recognition without knowing the source. It was a region marked by conflict, a point of imbalance that threatened the harmony the Celestes had strived to maintain. Lyra's voice cut through the vision, a tether anchoring us amidst the kaleidoscope of light and sound. They're showing us where we're needed. The Celestes left this so we'd know how to help. As the vision faded, replaced by the gentle glow of the chamber, I felt a profound sense of purpose settle over me. The Celesis had designed the key not just to guide, but to empower, to bridge the divide between guardian and seeker. We need to get there, I said, the decision as clear as the path laid before us. If the Celestes wanted us to see it, then it's something we can't ignore. Grit nodded, already moving to gather supplies and ready the ship. I've got a feeling this is gonna be one of those trips where we pack for every contingency. As we returned to the nightfall, the path before us illuminated by the conflux's final harmonics, I couldn't help but marvel at the vastness of our journey. The Celestes had left us a legacy of infinite possibility, and as the ship powered up, I knew we were stepping into a chapter written in the language of stars. The island receded into the distance, a beacon of serenity amidst the chaotic web of the universe. We were propelled not just by curiosity, but by the responsibility to uphold the balance the Celestes had cherished. Our destination pulsed on the navigation charts, a nebulous region at the edge of known space. It was an area fraught with cosmic disturbances, a symphony of chaos where harmony was desperately needed, and central to it all was a structure unlike any we'd seen, a station suspended in the void, its architecture a reflection of Celeste's design, yet altered by time and circumstance. As we approached, the scale of the station became apparent, its presence both imposing and alluring. It was a testament to the convergence of civilizations, a place where species from across the galaxy could convene in mutual respect and cooperation. But the harmony was under threat, fractured by forces that sought to exploit rather than unite. The Celestes had foreseen this, leaving the key as a beacon for those willing to restore what had been broken. Lyra joined me at the helm, her expression resolute. Whatever's waiting for us, we'll face it together. Grit's confidence shone through his easy grin. Too late to turn back now. Besides, I'm starting to like this whole saving the galaxy gig. As we prepared to dock, the station's defenses activated, scanning us with a cautious curiosity. The celestial key pulsed gently in Lyra's hand, its presence a testament to our intentions. The comms crackled to life, a voice resonating through the cabin with an authority. Tie that demanded attention. Incoming vessel, state your purpose. I took a breath, allowing the weight of our mission and the Celestes' legacy to ground me. We're here to restore balance, I replied, the words imbued with the truth of our journey. We come as guardians, guided by the Celestes' wisdom. There was a pause, a moment laden with expectation, before the voice responded. Then welcome, seekers, the harmonic nexus awaits. As the docking sequence completed, I felt the pull of destiny weave its threads around us. The station was a microcosm of the universe, a place where harmony and discord danced in an eternal waltz, and as we set foot on its decks, I knew we were ready to play our part in a story that spanned galaxies, a story in which we had become the unexpected protagonists, guided by the echoes of the Celestes and the promise of the stars. Part 10: The Celestial Accord. The harmonic nexus unfolded before us, a sprawling structure alive with the hum of countless beings from across the galaxy. As we disembarked from the nightfall, the station's grandeur enveloped us, an architectural marvel of flowing designs and bioluminescent pathways that pulsed in vibrant hues, reflecting the diversity and convergence housed within. The air thrummed with a symphony of languages, laughter, and trade, a bustling marketplace of ideas and cultures woven into the very fabric of the nexus. Here, under the watchful gaze of stars, species mingled with a harmony that belied the tensions lurking beneath the surface. Lyra walked beside me, her gaze flicking from stall to stall, each one a microcosm of some distant world. "This place is incredible," she remarked, her voice tinged with the wonder of discovery, a testament to what the universe can achieve when it works together. Grit, ever the pragmatist amidst awe, was already cataloging potential allies and threats. "Let's hope all these folks are as happy to see us as we are to see them," he said, keeping a wary eye on the crowd's ebb and flow. Our path led us deeper into the nexus, towards the heart of operations. The station's control center was a hive of activity, its walls lined with cascading data streams and holographic displays that charted the pulse of the galaxy. We met with the station's overseer, a stoic figure whose presence commanded respect without demand. His eyes, a deep cerulean, sparkled with the wisdom of someone who had seen more than most might in several lifetimes. "Welcome to the harmonic nexus," he said, his voice resonant yet warm. "I am Overseer Thalan. Your coming was foretold by those who can read the stars." I inclined my head in acknowledgement, the weight of our purpose settling comfortably on my shoulders. "We're here to help restore the balance. The Celestes have guided us to this place. Their legacy speaks of a threat to the harmony you've built." Thalan nodded, his expression one of gratitude tempered with concern. "Indeed, forces from beyond the Nexus seek to exploit our unity, to fan the flames of discord for their own gain. It is a delicate dance, maintaining this equilibrium." Lyra held up the celestial key, its glow a beacon of potential. "The Celestes left this for us. It's a conduit, a way to access knowledge that might help uphold the peace you've fostered." A flicker of recognition crossed Thalan's face as he studied the key. "The celestial accord," he murmured, almost to himself, "a tool of profound potential. In the right hands, it can weave connections stronger than steel." "The wrong hands could unravel it all," Grit added, his straightforwardness a grounding force as always. Thalan gestured for us to follow, leading us to a chamber set apart from the station's bustle. It was a sanctuary of sorts, its walls adorned with the sigils of countless worlds, each one a thread in the Nexus's tapestry. "This is the Accord's chamber," Thalan explained. "Here, the key can attune itself to the Nexus, allowing its bearer to bridge divides and mend fractures. But it requires trust, a willingness to open hearts as well as minds." The task was clear, though its path was fraught with uncertainty. The Nexus, while a beacon of unity, was vulnerable to the ambitions of those who would see it torn asunder. The key offered a chance to fortify it, but only through collaboration and empathy. We stepped forward, the key resonating in Lyra's hand, its light merging with the chamber's ambient glow. As she placed it on the central pedestal, a cascade of energy radiated outward, illuminating the sigils in a kaleidoscope of color. The Nexus responded, its systems harmonizing with the key's frequency. We could feel the station's pulse, a thrumming life force that echoed the hopes and dreams of every soul aboard. But as the Accord began to weave its magic, a tremor rippled through the chamber, a discordant note in the symphony. The threat was not idle, it was here, hidden within the Nexus's very walls. Alarms blared and the station vibrated with the urgency of its response. Thalan's gaze sharpened, his demeanor unflappable. "Sabotage," he said, his voice a blend of anger and resolve, "an attempt to unravel what we've built." The realization was a cold shock, the threat more insidious than we had anticipated. Somewhere within the Nexus, hidden motives sought to exploit or destroy the fragile peace. Grit's hand fell to his weapon, his instincts kicking in with the precision of a seasoned operative. "Looks like we've got some cleaning up to do," he remarked, ready for the challenge. "I'll interface with the station systems," Lyra volunteered, her skill set uniquely suited to the task. "If the key can amplify the accord, maybe it can also help us locate the source of the disruption." As she worked, I turned to Thalan, the burden of leadership familiar and shared. "We'll need you. Our support, this is your home, and your people, they need to see their faith rewarded." Thalan met my gaze, the connection between us forged in the fires of necessity. "You will have it. The Nexus stands with you, as do I." Together we prepared to face the threat, the conflux and the celestial key our guides in this unfolding tale. The Nexus, a microcosm of unity amidst the cosmos, awaited its fate, a future that rested in the hands of those willing to stand against division. United in purpose, we embarked on our mission, the echoes of the Celestes propelling us forward. We were more than mere voyagers. We were guardians of a legacy that transcended the individual, a call to action that resonated across the stars. The path was fraught with danger, but with every challenge met, we found strength in our unity, our story weaving itself into the fabric of the universe, one choice at a time.